After an action-oriented turn in 2010's Splinter Cell Conviction, Sam Fisher and his night vision goggles are back in Splinter Cell Blacklist. Conviction fans haven't been left behind, but Ubisoft Toronto have taken a page from series pinnacle chaos theory and brought Sam more in line with what he's always done best, stalking the shadows. Blacklist opens with the terrorist group The Engineers threatening American interests with a series of attacks. Veteran Sam Fisher is recalled to duty to head the newly formed 4th Echelon and given a virtual blank check to find and stop the Engineers' plan. But during tense, real-world conversations about overreaching government surveillance and unchecked, unsupervised military and intelligence agency operations, the story of a team given carte blanche to do just about anything at all is a little weird. Splinter Cell games have always had a foundation of stealth gameplay, and additions over the years have added wrinkles to the formula of sneaking from shadow to shadow on covert missions. Blacklist is largely a return to form for Splinter Cell, and it's easy to see that stealth gameplay was given major consideration in the way the game was designed. There are multiple ways of clearing every section without firing a shot. But even as a ghost player, meaning that I snuck around levels, killing no one, avoiding as much conflict as possible, I saw all of the different ways I could tackle the challenges in front of me differently, with or without force. And the equipment system underpins that. Each mission has various objectives and optional goals to be met that yield points, which represent cash. You use that cash to buy new gear and new upgrades, but there's a complication. You can really only choose to specialize in either damage and health for assault-style play, or you can choose to go as quietly as possible. Gunfights that would have been no challenge at all for assault-kitted Spies made quick work of the Sam that I tailored to sneaking around. Players who preferred Conviction's silent murder sprees will need to invest in weapon upgrades instead. The choice involved here, the permanence of the decisions that I made with regards to equipment, lent a sense of identity and progression to Blacklist that I'd never felt in another Splinter Cell game. While the optional co-op missions are also playable solo, they're clearly designed for 2 players, and they're way more fun in concert. Splinter Cell already plays like nothing else out there, and with another person, it's one of the coolest, most unique co-op modes around. But the accessibility that Blacklist establishes is pretty hard to come by in Spies vs. Mercs, which is Blacklist's competitive asymmetric multiplayer. Don't get me wrong, Spies vs. Mercs is great. The setup is as inspired as it's ever been, with one team playing as Splinter Cell-style spies working to complete spy-style objectives, and the other team assuming the role of mercenary soldiers from a first-person perspective. Spies vs. Mercs has also been expanded from previous games to include 8-player objective-based matches and a mixed team deathmatch mode that sounds like a terrible idea and somehow works really well. But there's an amount of finesse and strategy that goes beyond basic run and gun from other multiplayer games, and Blacklist doesn't really do a lot to ease players into those systems. I worry that the player base Blacklist is going to need for multiplayer to stick might not stick around. Behind its slick new coat of paint, Blacklist really marks a return to form for the Splinter Cell series, and it doesn't revolutionize any of the ideas that previous games have introduced, but it refines them into the sort of cohesive anthology of Splinter Cell's best ideas.